Last Sunday, we studied the 3 verses, 4th, 5th and 6th of the 7th chapter, which emphasized 2 factors in order to explain the human situation. One is the object, the other is the subject. One is the body, the other is the mind. And I quoted from modern neurologists who also proclaim today that with only a single factor, the body, they cannot explain human behavior. We need the second factor, namely the mind. In Shankara's commentary on these verses, we find he has used 2 words. One is called Kshetra, the other is called Kshetratnya. Later on in the 13th chapter, Krishna will deal with this subject. And the translation is beautiful. Kshetra means the field. Kshetratnya means the knower of the field. The field alone is not enough. Somebody who knows it. And the word field is today a very important word in nuclear physics. The whole world is a field of energy. The entire manifested universe is a field of energy. That field of energy is observed by an observer, a self, a consciousness. There you get that second factor, which is coming more and more into science. And I said in the next few decades, this investigation will become well established, that there is an observer along with the observed universe. And that observer is a unique entity. It is infinite in nature, but within the body it looks as very finite, very limited. That's why in the Upanishads they made the equation, Atman is Brahman. The Atman in you is the Atman of the universe. They are one and the same. Today's science will come to that conclusion when it begins to recognize the importance of the factor of consciousness, of mind in our experience. But that is coming slowly, steadily. Having said this, in the 4th and 5th and 6th verses, we go on to the 7th verse of the 7th chapter. Krishna makes a very great utterance there, which has inspired our Indian thinking. Krishna, identifying himself as that supreme reality, he uses the word I, therefore. I exist in all things. We can also say the truth is the same. We also exist. Only we don't know. That's all. We are limited. We are separate from each other. But Bhagavan can say that. Therefore he said, Matta parataram nanyat kinjidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. The very profound verse. There is nothing higher than myself, that ultimate reality, infinite pure consciousness which we call Brahman. There is nothing parataram, superior, higher, nanyat, kinjidasti. There is nothing higher than that reality. That's why in the beginning of the chapter he had said, I am going to tell you the totality of reality. Nothing outside of it is there. That consists of these 2 factors, object, subject, or Kshetra, Kshetratnya, or body and mind as we say here, material universe, and the one who sees this universe, who knows this universe, Therefore, this unity is the ultimate. Beyond that, there is nothing. Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. The next line is marvelous. Mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. The whole universe is strung in me like pearls in a string. A string runs through all the pearls to make a garland. You cannot see the string, you see the pearls. That is the Antaryami, the one that is in the heart of all things, extremely subtle, not visible to the senses as the pearls are. But the pearls are held together in the garland by that invisible thread of being. This is called the thread of being. Brahman means thread of being. This is the language we use. Sat. Sat is Brahman. Om Tat Sat. That is Brahman. That being runs through all this becoming. The world is called the world of becoming. That is being. So, my sarvamidam protam. Idam means this manifested universe. Sarvam entirely as a thread that runs through all the pearls to make a garland. We have this teaching in Vedanta, and that makes a tremendous difference. What you call the universality of outlook of Indian culture comes from this teaching. We can see a human being from the outside, his color, you can judge him from the color, or his stature, or many other variable attributes of the individual. They are all variable, but there is one invariable attribute of all individuals in the world. What is that? The thread that runs through all of them. There we are all one. So judge a person from that point of view. That came to India very early in our cultural history, the Vedic period. And the result is we began to evaluate man not in terms of his variable externals, but in terms of that invariable internal reality of the self. Man is essentially the Atman. That is the basis of the universality of our culture and outlook. Throughout the ages, they produced outstanding sages and thinkers who upheld this idea of universality, not separateness. We are all separate from the sensory point of view. From deep down, if you go, we are all one. That is the Advaitic vision that came to us very early in history, that made India a land of universal sympathy, a land of toleration and understanding. We cannot sufficiently thank these great sages who gave such a profound vision to a whole people belonging to not a tiny island, but a subcontinent of this great country. And today the world is seeking this very vision. We want that human vision, mankind awareness, not limited understanding of man. So Krishna's this statement is very, very important. Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam. Mai, in me, sarvamidam protam. Sutre manigana iva. Mani means gem. Manigana iva. So many pieces of gem. They are all strung together in a garland. And the thread, sutra, means thread in Sanskrit. The Sutratman, divine reality is called Sutratman, Antaratman, Antaryami, the one inside all. We are all separate, but the thread unites all of us. It is just like in political language you will say, we are all separate, but as citizen of India, we are all one. That one republican status, we are citizens, that makes us all one. Otherwise, we are all separate. But the other is a universal vision. This was a profound discovery. You find it in the Upanishads. One of the great passages of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is on Bhagavan as the Antaryamin, the inner self of all, regulating everything from within. Take a cell. What regulates that cell? Something from within itself. We are trying to find out what is that something in genetics and all that. We say it is DNA, RNA, all that you can do. These are all what you call observable phenomena. But go still deeper if you can. You will really find nothing but the divine as the inner energy that what you call manipulates the entire processes in that living cell, in this body, in this universe, everywhere. That is the one ultimate reality. That is the idea that in a small verse Krishna expresses here in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It is a whole para. Yak prathivyam tishtan prathivyadantaro yam prithivena veda yasya prithvi shariram soyamatma antaryamyamritaha. Very majestic utterance. Yajnavalkya makes it there. He who exists in the earth, whom the earth does not know, whose body is the earth, who remaining in the earth regulates all the activities of the earth, that is the Antaryami, that is the immortal self. Every other aspect of the earth is mortal, but this one thing inside is the immortal dimension. Similarly, the example of Vayu or other things are taken. And finally, yes, sarvesha bhuteshu tishtan, that which exists in all beings, and then all beings do not know him, but who sitting within regulates all beings. So Atma Antaryami Amrita, that is this Atman, the Antaryami, the Amrita, the immortal one. That is the famous Antaryami Brahmana of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Shankara's commentaries on these passages are marvelous. Such deep penetration you will find there, and such simple, beautiful Sanskrit prose. Here you see this statement, Mai Sarvamidam Protam, Sutre, Manigana Iva. Nobody is outside the touch of the divine. Nobody is outside. That is the universal dimension of the ultimate reality. Everything is included in it. That's why good, bad, as well as sinners, saints, or the cosmos around you, they are all included in that primordial reality which we call Brahman, which is not some inert matter, as today's cosmology will say now. It is the principle of intelligence itself, principle of consciousness itself. Jnanam is its nature. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Taittiriya Upanishad will say, Brahman is Satyam, truth. Jnanam, consciousness. Anantam, infinity. That's the nature of Brahman, which is the primordial stuff of this universe. As the primordial stuff, it is there in every product of the universe manifestation, every product of cosmic evolution. The Atman is ever present, hidden, not openly visible to the sensory system. And it is the great function of human knowledge to seek out that hidden reality. We seek it out in the external world through physical science. We seek it out in man, in the body of man, through biology, through various departments of biology. But totality of the universe, when you come to the highest spiritual perception. Those who sages, who realize the truth, they are able to understand, yes, I see the same Atman in every being. Such statements are there, very, very impressive to read, as if a profound truth is being expounded without any kind of doubt that you get in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. When a sage discovered this truth and he looked around, he found that infinite reality is there in every being. Then he said, Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi, Tvam Kumara, Vatava Kumari, Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi, Tvam Jato Bhavasi, Vishyato Mukha. Tvam Stri, thou art the woman. Tvam Pumanasi, thou art the man. Tvam, you are a child, a little Kumara, as well as Kumari, a boy or a girl. You are also that old man tottering on a stick. Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi, Tvam Jato Bhavasi, Vishyato Mukha. You manifest in this universe in millions of forms. It is all you we find in all of them. That is the highest vision. The vision of the highest spiritual poetry you will find in one Mandukya, in Mundaka Upanishad passage, you will find this idea. This sage discovered that Atman within himself, and he looked out and found the same Atman everywhere. So he described it as Anandarupam Amrutam Yat Vibhati, of the nature of infinite bliss, immortal, that manifests in everything in the world around you. This particular verse inspired poet Rabindranath Tagore, and in many of his writings you will find reference to this. It is a poetic, spiritual vision. The way of putting it is also the same. Poetry can see beauty where our common eyes cannot see. It can penetrate a little. And the greater the poetry, more that penetration and more the beauty of expressing that experience. Ordinary people can see only gross things, prosaic events around them. But a poet can see much deeper. That's why the word Kavi in Sanskrit is the name also for God. God is described as Kavi. Kavi in the Gita itself, you will read it. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram. God is a Kavi, the supreme poet. He can see far ahead. Krantadarshi is Shankara's definition of Kavi, who can see far ahead, who can see through a thing. That's called Kavi. And that's why we respect poets and their poetry. The higher the poet, the more deep is his penetration into human experience and the way he communicates the same thing. I often like that particular verse in English characterizing the greatness of Shakespeare. Why Shakespeare is so much respected. All over the world people study, even now after 500 years, we study him, we act his dramas, we quote his words. Some of the most precious expressions you get in Shakespearean literature. What is the speciality about Shakespeare? That is put into a small verse. It says, the poem hangs on the berry bush, when comes the poet's eye. If the poet eye comes, you can see on the berry bush also poetry. So the poem hangs on the berry bush, when comes the poet's eye. The street begins to masquerade when Shakespeare passes by. When you and I pass by, there is no poetry, there is no drama in nature. But when Shakespeare's eye falls upon a petty experience, it becomes high-class poetry. What a beautiful expression. So, we need to develop a little bit of that poetic vision. God is the supreme poet. And these poets have got a bit of that poetic vision of the divine. The greater the poet, the more he would have taken in that divine vision. This is what we have to understand in India. We have always given high place to this kind of poets who can see far ahead. So, this idea that the Lord is present in all of us, in everything in this universe, as its inner self, and it manipulates everything in that by remaining there. No external force is acting upon it, but a force within itself, the divine itself. One of the most scientific ideas is explain any event from the nature of the thing itself, not invoke some external deity, external power. Just like something happens, a ghost has done it. In our superstitious way, we have to say like that. No scientist will accept it. See the thing itself. So the man is gone off his mind. So we study the nervous system, we study the brain, what is wrong there, and try to find out. Within the system itself, not something external. External influences are there, but you have to explain it in terms of how those influences introduce elements within the system, and then you study the system. Then it becomes a scientific explanation. Any external explanation is not scientific explanation. So we saw that everything ultimately can be explained in terms of that subtlest of reality, namely pure consciousness. A pure consciousness is present in everything, in the heart of things. That consciousness is functioning through various other agencies within that particular organism or particular object. But to see that consciousness, we have to go beyond our sensory level. No senses can ever reveal this truth that has been repeatedly said, and you cannot quantify that particular reality. Everything else can be quantified. Any material force or material object you can explain in terms of quantity, where mathematics has a part to play. But when you go to this particular reality of the self, quantification has absolutely no place there. Where the senses cannot go, quantity cannot become a criterion. This is Vedantic idea. Many scientists accept this idea today, and therefore tremendous advances are going on in various parts of Europe or America, Australia, to take science from the visible and the tangible to something that lies above. We know something is there. We don't know what it is. We want to discover it. That kind of effort is going on all over the world. And as I said last Sunday, every such effort and success in that effort only reconfirms what Vedanta has been holding on this subject for ages as a result of deep meditation. Going into the depth of the human spirit, they discovered this profound truth. Manu says, after speaking about the spiritual nature of man, our spiritual unity of the universe, Manu says in his Manusmriti, Dhyanikam sarvamed etat, yad etat abhishabditam. Whatever I have said so far, all this is the product of dhyana, deep meditation. They could go through into the heart of things through that meditation. The heart of man is in touch with the heart of everything in this universe. If you don't know how to go into the depth of your own heart, you cannot see the depth of anybody's heart. The more interior you become, the more interior you can penetrate into other people as well. That's why great sages can see which you and I cannot see. They can see through the divine sparks in you. They can see. Jesus could see that the sinner is only an external sinner. Internally, that sinner is absolutely pure. Paratman is absolutely pure, ever free. He could see that. This is the language of philosophy and spirituality. Vedanta emphasizes this point again and again. So, in the coming decades, we will be getting more and more of reconfirmation of this profound vision of the Vedic sages, and that is what is current today. It never becomes old. It is always fresh. It is always fresh. Truth is never old. Truth is always fresh. If there is a dogma or a creed, that is sometimes thrown away as obsolete, not at all worthwhile, no currency value. But if it is a truth, it is always the same, universal. This is how the Vedas discovered some profound truths about man. When you speak of Veda, it means that a set of knowledge discovered by profound investigation into the heart of man. And they discovered these truths and they proclaimed it, and they are still current. After 4,000-5,000 years, these truths are always there. We gave the name to it. The whole thing constitutes Sanatana Dharma, eternal Dharma, philosophy of the eternal, perennial philosophy, etc. That's the language we have used to designate this wonderful legacy from the past in this great country. Then Krishna goes on into the beautiful idea, in what way I am present everything in this universe. A few samples are given in this chapter. A few more are given in the 10th chapter. We call it Vibhuti Yoga. Bhagavan's Vibhuti. He is there, but he is also present in all the manifested universe. So a few samples of that presence is given in this chapter just now from verse 8. It says here, Rasoham apsu kavanteya prabhasmi Shashi Suryayoho Pranava Sarva Vedeshu Shabdakhe Paurisham Runu. I am the sapidity in water, rasa. In waters, I am the rasa, taste. Secondly, I am the radiance in the moon and the sun. That brilliance that is there. Prabha. Prabha means Shashi Surya Yoga. Among all the Vedas, I am the Omkara, Pranava. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. Shabda Khe in Akasha, in space, and sound. Sound is propagated through the space and the sound there. Paurusham Mradu. In human beings, I am that Paurusha, that kind of strength and manliness, courage, etc. And that anybody who have this, know that presence of the divine is there. That he will say later on, another great verse. And then, Punyo Gandha Prithivyamcha. In the earth, the principle is Gandha, good smell. Punyo Gandha, very auspicious smell. And in the earth in the form of auspicious smell. Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasau, in fire and brilliance. Tejas. Then, Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu, among all these beings and the principle of life, principle of intelligence. Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu. And then, Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu, among those who are practicing tapas and the very principle of tapas that inspires them to perform this tapas to achieve great things. Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam Vidhi Partha Sanadhanam. Arjuna, understand me as the seed energy of everything in this universe. Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam. The seed energy of everything is myself. Other aspects of seed are only secondary seeds. Primary seed is the divine consciousness itself. Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam Vidhi Partha Sanatanam, that eternal seed. These seeds come and go. That is the eternal seed. Buddhir Buddhimatam Asmi, among intelligent people and the very principle of intelligence. Buddhir Buddhimatam Asmi. Tejas Tejasvinamaham, among the heroic people and the heroism, the spirit of heroism, and they are in them. In that way you can see God in the manifested universe. Not only He is transcendental, He is also immanent. He is there, every product of this cosmic evolution. Balam Balavatam Kama Raga Vivarjita. And the strength among the strong people. What kind of strength? Kama Raga Vivarjita.